there's a tension between a team member saying, I want to be known, but don't make it weird and don't make it personal, and I don't want to tell you about my family. How do you kind of bridge the gap there and make it just genuine and not weird?
Well, for all the weird times, there's 100 examples of not going far enough. It's one of those weird things we'll say like, oh, I don't want to ask people about their personal lives. It could be awkward. And so 99% of the time, people feel like, I don't think these people care about me. And we think that's okay because we're trying to avoid the rare occasion when somebody goes too far. We are not even close to going too far. And as you build up trust and a relationship with a person, you get to know them better and better, and things become more part of the conversation. But again, this is not going to happen on Zoom, especially when there's 5 other people on the call. It happens when you're in the office and you're talking to somebody, or you're hanging out at lunch, or something's going on. So I think that we have to be less afraid of it getting weird. Again, there is always that lady who's like, how is it going? And she's like, well, my cat has worms, and she's going like too far. And you're like, whoa, TMI, But for every one of those, there's 99 people that are so glad you're interested in what's going on in their life. And so I think it's an excuse. And George, you really hint at something that's really important, and that is, so why don't people do this? And I think oftentimes we're embarrassed because we haven't been doing it for a long time. And the idea of starting to do it will feel so awkward. And so I always tell managers and leaders, I said, so go sit down with your people and say, listen, I'm embarrassed that I don't know very much about what's going on in your life, and I feel bad for that, but I would like to know more. I'd like to know what's going on. I don't even know what's going on with your kids and where you're at in your life. And let me tell you, nobody's ever quit and said, that's it, I'm out of here because of that. They're like, oh, I'm really appreciative of the fact that you care. And they'll share what they feel like sharing. But man, human beings want to be known. I think God put us on this to be known and loved. And I think we shouldn't go to work and set that aside.
Yeah, well, so many people are going, well, I'm not trying to be friends with my coworkers and my leader, but at the same time, they're leaving because they don't feel valued and seen. And so at some point, we have to look in the mirror as leaders or team members and go, oh, I'm the problem.
Do you know that being your friend and being your leader are not mutually exclusive? Now, they're not concentric circles. They're not exactly the same thing. Neither should they be. But to the idea that we're not meant to be friends with the people we work with. I mean, I will tell you, so we've been around for 25 years. There's a few people here that I've known and spent about 7 to 8 to 9 hours a day with 5 days a week for the last 25 years. I hope the hell I'm their friend, And so the idea that you should go to work and not be friends is crazy. Now, does that mean there's not some boundaries because I'm your leader and so there's certain things I have to be careful about? Sure. But again, don't err on the side of being unfriend-like in order to avoid an HR issue. And as a result of that, create 99 situations where people go to work and feel uncared for. So I think it's like there's nothing wrong with being friends and leaders and colleagues. Just there's some boundaries and there's some limitations to that. But heck, people don't even get close to those limitations usually.
Yeah. So for leaders that want to get better at this habit of engaging with their team, connecting with their team, what are some of the ways you do that, maybe intentionally or some that are just kind of subconscious at this point?
Well, I actually think that it's great when it happens naturally, but like all things in life, we need to be intentional. It's like why we have to go on dates with our spouse is because it's easy to go, well, yeah, we get along great. We haven't been on a date in 6 months. You got to schedule time to do that. So I think it's a really good idea to sit down and write down the names of all your employees on a piece of paper. Okay. And then write down anonymous, irrelevance, and immeasurement. And just sit down and think and go, what do I really know about Fred? That's a real gap for me. What about Mary? Now, I know Mary pretty well, but I don't think she knows. I bet I haven't talked to her why her job matters, about all the people she makes a difference in their lives. I should sit down and talk to her about that one. Oh, and then over here I've got John. John, the nature of his work, he probably doesn't even know if he's doing a good job. I'm going to have to sit down with him and help him figure out how to get more feedback from people so he can check in on that. Just do an audit around anonymity, irrelevance, and immeasurement. And then go sit down with people and say, I want to have a conversation with you. It might seem kind of weird, but I want to start doing this on a regular basis because I owe this to you. Again, it might be slightly uncomfortable for those first 3 minutes. at the end, it's going to be so much better. When people do this, the morale and engagement of their employees goes up. It absolutely does. There's no doubt about it. And George, if you asked me to measure exactly how much it goes up, I would not be able to do it. But it's just plain true. And I don't care if you're an NFL football coach or you're the pastor of a church or the manager of a small business or the CEO of a company. It's our job to know, help people understand the relevance and tell people how to figure out if they're doing a good job. And that is going to change the culture of a company in very short order. So just go to sit down and have an audit and conversations with all of the people that work for you.